Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad, along here with Doug.
Hi.
So we are going to try and review Doom, which Doug played and has no clue how to talk about. We may have tried this a couple times, and he's struggling a lot today. So please bear with us.
It is a really hard Doom is a hard game to talk about because it really is just about shooting demons. And like literally if I was gonna say talk about if I wanted this like whole review, I get this done in 30 seconds. Doom is really good. It's about shooting demons and the story is pretty neat.
All right, well, this has been Workforce Gaming. If you can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. So, okay, I guess my question is where my big curiosity with this is I haven't played it other than the beta, and it's a game that I've been really looking forward to. I just haven't had time lately. It's been crazy busy for me.
Yeah.
Uh, how does this compare when you look at Unreal Tournament like 2004 versus like Call of Duty Black Ops 3? Like how do you feel like this fits into the shooter genre?
It fits this game is it doesn't fit into either because the online I'll get into this later. The online multiplayer plays very different than the campaign. Like it's not different controls, but they definitely changed all the physics. They changed how fast you move. They changed a lot of things. So the single player kind of plays like Unreal Tournament. It's like that speed. I say it's closer to Quake 3. It's surprising how fast you move because I think in console shooters there's sort of they kind of slow down your movement because it's hard to aim with the sticks.
Yeah.
But they did something really clever where most of the enemies are just in your general line of sight. You don't really have to look up that often. So you can just run around and zip around super, super fast because all the enemies are like straight in front of you. Like I was barely looking up or looking down in the game, which is really nice because you can just concentrate around circling around enemies, shooting and blasting. I'd say it's very similar to Painkiller is probably the easiest one. It definitely falls in that Bulletstorm, Shadow Warrior, Serious Sam. In terms of speed, I'd probably put it near like Quake 3 Arena. It's not nearly as fast as Quake 3 Arena. I'm not gonna say it's like that fast, but it's definitely the fastest shooter I think I've played in years easily. Yeah, no, it's a really really cool game. I think that I really enjoyed it. I'll say start straight off. Like if you have not played a game like this before, it's gonna blow your freaking mind. But if you have played games that are kind of similar to this in the past, Painkiller is probably the easiest example. If you if you've played these games where it's just like a ton of enemies at once, you're running around the environment, you're strafing, you're shooting, you're dodging bullets and stuff like that. If you've never played those games, it's incredible. If you have played those games, it'll feel very very familiar to you. And the thing about this game, it's kind of a one trick pony. Like it's about shooting demons. It's very 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 good at shooting demons, but because they sort of burned everything else away, that's pretty much all it is good at. Story is actually kind of interesting, but it's I think people are praising it because it's so old school, but it seems to have kind of forgotten, or not forgotten, or just it just sort of doesn't really acknowledge storytelling in first person shooters. And I understand that people are like, well, Doom doesn't need a story. Doom has a story, and it's actually really cool. It's just not told very well in the game. Um,
Wait, so you just said you like the story but it's not told well. What do you mean?
like a lot of the cool stuff is kind of there's logs you can pick up and read and like read like a paragraph.
Oh,
So like
okay.
every enemy probably has about 3 pages worth of info to read. Every like every character in the game has about 3 pages of stuff. Every weapon has about 3 pages of stuff, and it's actually really interesting. Some of the backstory they do that they have in the game. I don't want to give spoilers, but this is not a reboot. Um, that might that
Whoa.
whoa yeah it's not a reboot. It plays like a reboot, I'll say that, but it's not a reboot. So it does a lot of really cool things with describing like why the enemies the way they are. And it gives these really really neat detailed descriptions. But like the only way you can do that is by like literally just reading pages and pages of text, or they do something where you see holograms and you just like walk into a room. There's no combat and there's two holograms talking back and forth. It feels very like Half-Life 2 almost. Do you know in Half Life 2, like the combat just sort of stops, and then you watch like two actors kind of play out a scene,
Yep.
and it's very much like that. So I feel that it kind of in that sort of like burning everything away about modern shooters, it kind of didn't. There is better ways to tell stories in FPS games than this one did. But the story in this is actually really cool. I was surprised how cool it is. Not, this isn't really spoilers, but the game makes you. It's like one of the only games I've ever seen where they acknowledge that you are a very powerful character. I think a lot of games are like it's like the enemies always like mocking you, like ha ha ha, you'll never defeat us. But in this one, like the enemies kind of like respect how powerful you are,
That's
and
kind of cool.
the demons respect how powerful you are, and it's really really cool. There's this is trying to get away from spoilers because the story is pretty cool. But just know the game constantly tells you that you're a badass, and it tells you that like through story and through character animations and through a lot of different things that are tied to the story. But it was just really cool because it made you they made you seem like that you were just this unstoppable badass, and it plays like that too. Like it's definitely one of those games where, like the story really matches the gameplay. Not getting into Uncharted 4 talk, but that was one of the issues I have with Uncharted 4 is like the story doesn't really match the gameplay. But in Doom, like they give you a good reason. They give good reason for why the character is able to kill all these demons and why you're zooming around super fast and why it's okay that you're blowing demons' heads off. It makes the demons seem really bad and you seem super cool, and I
Nice.
really like that. And actually, I started talking too much about the story. Just know the shooting and stuff is all it's really good. So, the characters in the game are actually super cool. There's like kind of like talking voice in your head. You can't really tell if he's a good guy or a bad guy, but they do something sort of unique with him that I again can't really spoiler. But he's not as bad as like you would think. Like when you're kind of like, oh, this is the guy who betrays me. But as the game goes along, you're like, maybe this guy really isn't going to betray me. Maybe this is just the way he is. Um, and
He's
it's
just
really
kind of a dick to be a dick.
well, no, they get very good. He tells you why like his position in the story. He's like that. This isn't really spoilers. The guy that you're talking, the guy in your head is the head of UAC. It's the
Okay.
president of UAC.
Yeah.
Um, like the whole facility that you're going around in, and he's telling you, he's like, hey, it's like I need you, you need me, and it's not like this sort of like, bah, not like some like it's not like a mustache twirling villain. It's like he gives like good reasons for the things that you're doing, and if there's conflicts between you, they make sense, and he like reacts surprisingly realistic to the situation that's going on, even the situations about like demons and shooting and stuff. Um,
Nice.
yeah.
So, outside of when you look at gameplay, is it literally just running shooting? There's nothing else. Like Doom 3 had some horror stuff in it.
Mhm.
How's that fit in? Is there any other weird things, or is it just pick up your big ass gun and shoot some demons?
It is literally pick up your big ass gun and shoot demons. Which
Yes.
yes, no, I know, and you would love this game. You would love this game, and it's actually the gameplay is super fun. I think people are kind of discounting how much Mirror's Edge has affected first person shooters, but this game is surprisingly vertical, and you can run and jump, and like the levels are like maybe 10 stories high sometimes. Like you can jump down from like the third level to the fourth level to the fifth level, down to the second level, down to the first, and there's no fall damage. So they kind of expect you to keep jumping and like weaving through these corridors and jumping off like balconies and stuff. And it's really cool, especially near the end. Like once you have a bunch of different enemies, you have a bunch of different weapons, and they give you more and more complex environments to play in. So it's kind of like you feel like a badass throughout the game because like not only are you just like running and gunning like you normally would, but you're jumping off of like 2 or 3 stories and like punching down on an enemy's face. And they do a cool thing where like the enemies that would normally be more terrifying near the beginning become less terrifying as you play because your weapons get more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So you can like there is that sort of sense of scale. Like you're just getting better. Not only are you personally getting better at this game, but your character is getting better in the game, and it's reflected in the story as well. That like everybody kind of notices that you're doing really well. Game's really gorgeous too, like surprisingly good looking. Although there's really only like 2 areas in the game. This is not spoilers. If you've never played Doom, I mean, this might be spoilers if you've never played Doom. But you go to Hell. Hell is effing awesome. That is probably one of the coolest looking levels I think I've ever seen in a game. I think we're going back to Painkiller. Always thought Painkiller had a really cool interpretation of Hell. This one is like, it's really this. It's like these cool twisted pyres, and Hell is kind of breaking apart. It's kind of falling into pieces. So you go to like a dilapidated Hell, and it's just really slick. I was kind of surprised how intricate everything was looked because I felt like this game could have done a lot less and still been a good Doom. Like it could have just played well, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
But it plays well and it looks incredible. It all runs at 60 frames per second, so it's really fun. Just like kind of zipping around, shooting demons. There's never any slowdown, and you just feel like wicked fast. It's really cool in that regard. Weapons are
Nice.
super fun. All the classics are there, for better or for worse. There's actually a really cool leveling system, kind of similar to Ratchet and Clank.
Because that's an analogy you'd expect.
Yeah, no, yeah, but it's kind of like Bulletstorm meets Ratchet and Clank. Do you know in Bulletstorm, like you got like points for killing enemies in cool ways?
Yeah.
So you get points for moving around the map fast, killing enemies, swapping out weapons, and then you can use those to upgrade your guns. And I was like, what? You're upgrading guns in Doom? Like that's sacrilegious. Like you should just have. But the upgrades for the guns are super super fun. They're not. There's some very basic like shoot faster ones, but a lot of them are really really clever. And every single gun.
I want to play this game.
Yeah, and every single gun you have also has 2 secondary fires you can upgrade. So it's like you have your primary fire, your secondary, and then both of your secondaries have about 3 or 4 levels you can upgrade, and they all do different things. And it's really really cool. And gameplay wise, it's great, but it's kind of the problem I had with Vanquish, where it's like pedal to the metal all the time. That after a while, it sort of starts feeling very samey. Like once you get good at the game, like there really isn't anything to stop you.
But see, I love that. Like I loved Vanquish. Vanquish is a great game because it's just that pure fast pace, just always moving forward. I need to play this game.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you love it. It's I don't know, to me personally, if it's worth a full price, because I played the multiplayer for a bit, wasn't great. It's very different. It's like clearly it's almost like an entirely different game. Because the controls very different. You have loadouts. It doesn't really make sense.
Well, and that's kind of the issue that I think when we talked about the beta a while ago,
Yeah.
that was the issue we had with the beta, is that it felt like, okay, we're going to adapt modern shooter ideas to a point where it almost hinders it. So does that still stick around? Is that still kind of the same feeling you've got?
That is only in the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Not in the single player. And yeah, the multiplayer, because I actually did not play the beta, and I was kind of dependent on you. Like the beta, I can understand like people playing the beta would get a really bad and poor impression of Doom, because they play very, very differently. There is a cool thing called Snap Map that I didn't get a whole lot into, but it's like basically you can build your own levels, and you can do co-op, and you can like shoot demons with your friends and all that, which is really neat. But it uses the multiplayer physics.
Okay, not the single player.
Not the single player super quick physics with like your entire weapon wheel and stuff. So I'm not quite sure why they did that. I think that from what I understand, it's made by 2 different teams. But yeah, I mean, if you are like, oh, I love that demon smashing action, like it's a great game. But I thought it was really great as a rental. I don't know if it'd be great to me. I don't know. I don't like putting price. I mean, like in my head, I always say like put a price on a game, like how much I would pay for it. I don't want to tell people what that is, but I don't know if it's worth full price. But the single player campaign is a ton of fun. But I'm just telling you, it's kind of one of those games like when you play it, you're like, okay, I'm playing Doom. Like I feel like BioShock, you're kind of like surprised as the story goes along. You're like, what's going to happen next, and what's going to happen? It's like this one, you shoot demons in a science lab, and you shoot them in hell, and you go back and forth, and that's what it is.
Just out of curiosity, how long does this take you?
Oh, geez.
Rough estimate, like
normal video game length. It didn't feel shorter. It didn't feel
okay.
short or long.
It's like that, like probably 8 to 10 hour window somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around that. It definitely didn't feel long. It definitely didn't feel short. It felt just about right. It ended when I had to.
And those are the best games.
Yeah, it's really good. No, it's great. It's great. Yeah, I can see why people are giving it so much praise. I'm not going to give it like a ton of praise, but I do really really love this genre. And I think it's really cool seeing that this like a next gen version of this genre, because we just haven't. I haven't really seen a game like this. I'd say since Bulletstorm, but even Bulletstorm wasn't nearly this fast, like Painkiller and Serious Sam and those older games.
Yeah.
Oh, there was one thing I do want to mention. I think when we talked about this game a long time ago, one of the pre-release things is like we never want you moving backwards. We always want you moving forward. Yep. They absolutely did that. And I don't know how they did that, but like I think I backed up like. Like off the top of my head I can think of like certain times when I backed up, but it is really cool that they keep having you driving forward. Like it makes more sense to run at the enemy than run away from the enemy. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be buying this in the next couple days, so that's cool and exciting.
Yeah, you probably should. Yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely like this for sure.
All right, well, that'll do it for this review from Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to us wherever you happen to be watching or listening, and we will see you later.
Bye.